Well, welcome there, everybody. How are y'all doing? Boy, it has been one of those days. We all have them. It's like, yeah, interesting energy to say the least. And there we go. We can certainly hear myself. Hello. Goodness gracious. Did y'all hear that? Wow, that was really loud. Anyway, so how is everybody? So good to see everyone. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this fabulous journey as I get the bus fully loaded and ready to go out. I think we got it. Let's hope so. So, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for hitting the subscribe. You see, we're hypnotized. No doubt about it. Anyway, I can, hypnotized or not, speak favor over us. Yeah. Favor means the best of everything. Think about it. I speak favor over us getting a parking space in a crowding parking lot closest to the door. And it happens with regularity. I'll put it that way. So, yeah, it's the small things in life, you know? Got prosperous yesterday and I found um, a 1967 uh, quarter. Still got silver in it. And I mean, that's prosperity. People say, well, you stop and pick up money. Yeah, I do. I don't care if it's a penny or whatever. But so yeah, and a quarter, looked up the value. It's worth more than a quarter. It's like 38, 39 cents. So prospering again. Imagine that. So that brings in the nothing missing, nothing broken. And there we go. So how is everybody in the chat room today? So good to see y'all as we get, let me get that there, and then we get that up there. Everything is cool. As I adjust there, it's like looking in the rear view mirror, make sure the rear view, yeah, you get it. Hey Grace, how you doing? It is raining bullshit. Isn't that a great song, Dolly Parton? It's raining bullshit everywhere. And the only thing I can say, because I like rodeo, is that, you know, bullshit back in the day was where mushrooms came from. I went out there and picked them. Went out there with a lot of friends and picked them. We had some very interesting uh encounters, so to speak. But and you got good bullshit, you scattered that, don't want it too hot, but you scatter that into your garden and provides great nitrogen and all these other things. So anyway, trying to look at it in a very positive light. It's like, well, if they're going to start, continue just to push the bullshit, then I guess, we can take it and we can actually do something with it. That's the positive side of the equation. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to Judith Koba. She will be here next week. Going to have her on. Did a delightful interview with her yesterday on her channel, Night Flight Radio. So check it out for sure. You'll really like it. What else is going on? Boy, there's, just my opinion and observation. That's all I'm saying. Um, there's a lot of fucked up people out there running things. Their heads are in a place where you and I would go, really? Those are the challenges where you see a side, an opinion, a point of view, in some cases a damn right doctrine, ideology. Dare I even say religious? People in the environmental thing. I mean, there's so much disinformation. But any case, and when you come across and hear what they say, you go, wait a minute, we do we live in the same reality? Well, the obvious answer is, well, depending on what reality is, but we basically share the same space that proves to be the backdrop of everything else. Anyway, it really makes me think, how could there ever be a heaven or hell? You, I ponder this. There's just a lot of people who I wouldn't want to be around. There's a lot of people who wouldn't want to be around me. And whether that setting would be in some afterlife, and this is relevant because our little dancer is she's transitioning, and I have no doubt that she what awaits her is, you know, as the Native Americans said, a great place. You know, I don't. We have these pets that become, and I know this is a little digression, but they become a part of us. You know, we share our lives with them, and they share their lives with us. And so I do believe that. So anyway, as they would say. But getting back to this whole thing, so I don't like crowds. Um, as an empath, they're draining. They're physically draining. And particularly if you have the sight, the shine. And even when you can't physically see these entities, you can sense them, you can feel them. And unfortunately, in getting very large crowds, that's where they feed upon. There is this psychic vampirism. Um, if you ever have known anyone who's passive aggressive, that's a sign of an individual or maybe individuals that, um, they feed off of that. Uh, we've been talking about mind control, hypnotism. It's really the loosh. I mean, that's what it is. They're feeding on us. Star Trek The Next Generation did what was it? Today, yesterday, and tomorrow, where they got into this time continuum with Data in San Francisco, and the backdrop of the story was cool because it was Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, and anyway, these intelligent beings, they would come into this dimension, this density, to feed off of us. It's literally like a straw coming, a feeding tube coming out of you. They feed on this, and in this particular, in Gene Roddenberry's and the writer's imagination, which I thought was really cool, they store that energy up. It's us, these spark of divineness. Apparently, it's not readily available in all realms, and there are beings, life forms that feed off of that. It is said that, the whole way that our energy is outputted changes greatly to emotional conditions. Think about people who fall into these fits of rage. You look at what's going on here, what's happening to that. And it's all related to what we're going to be talking about and are talking about. So we know for a fact that there was, in fact, a program called Monarch. That's not, urban legend, folklore. It's a reality. And it would appear that more of us have probably been victims of this nefarious program. And I contend if you look at what the program was and how they instituted to what we have today, the flicker rate, there's a lot more going on here, a lot more. And again, I look back in my past and I'm going, well, I've told people this for years that I was a part of, I don't know, we didn't see it as well. I guess it was an experiment, but we were just a group of teenagers. I was a throwaway kid. It's just the way it was. And living on the street as a teenager, there was no adult supervision of any kind to exist. And as I look at it now, we were prime candidates for this program, which was in earnest in the late 60s and early 70s, particularly. And I came across, let me pull this up as he goes over here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So let me show you this. And I thought this was really interesting. So this is Senator Ted Kennedy back in the day. This is a document from the CIA. It was, brought out under the FOIA request. And it is about this project MKUltra. Turns out it really did exist. Hold on 1 second, sneeze. Oh yeah, pollen's everywhere out there. Anyway, so come to find out that we know that the CIA, which I think should be disbanded, it serves no purpose. It's become its own government that it thinks it's above, review. I think they've done more harm than they've done good. And they certainly spend an awful lot of money. So like, where does all that money go to? So anyway, um, it says that although the CIA insists that MKUltra type experiments have been abandoned, 14 years CIA veteran Victor, and I think that's Marchetti, has stated in various interviews that the CIA routinely conducts disinformation campaigns and the CIA mind control research continue. In a 1977 interview, Marchetti specifically called the CIA's claim that MK Ultra was abandoned over a cover story. On the Senate floor in 1977, Senator Ted Kennedy said, the deputy director of the CIA revealed that over 30 universities and institutions were involved in an extensive testing and experimentation program, which included covert drug tests on unwitting citizens at all social levels, high and low, Native Americans and foreign. Several of these tests involved the administration of LSD to unwitting subjects in social situations. At least one death, that of Dr. Frank Olson, resulted from those activities. The agency itself acknowledged that these tests made little scientific sense. The agents during the monitoring were not qualified scientific observers. Mercy. Well, so when I read this, I went back and I went, well, let me just remember my experience. How did I get involved with this? And I know exactly the girl that we were tripping. You know, I don't know. I think it may have been, strawberry barrel acid, if I recall right. Anyway, I remember she invited me to, she said it was a counselor, but she said, they give us LSD. And I said, oh, what do you do when they do this? And, she said, well, it's kind of cool. We rap and we have music, and then they come in and kind of talk to us while we're, getting close to peaking. And I said, okay, that sounds cool. And I still remember where it was at. I was living in Houston, Texas. It was right off Memorial. and near it was in the Bentah Memorial Medical Complex back in that time. And it was a nondescript office. I remember we walked in and, she said, "Hey, this is my friend." I remember I filled out some stuff and we just went through this other door and it was like she said, they had chairs and there were some couches and bean bags and, had a stereo over there. And really it was interesting because when they come in and the people were very nondescript. They looked like hippies to me, as I recall. But anyway, it was liquid LSD, and they put it on the tip of our tongue, and taught us how to meditate. So when I see stuff like this, I go, "Huh? Well, how about that? Uh, was that a CIA project? Well, I have to look back, and if you were going to do that, um, we would been the perfect subjects." So I want to stop right there. I'll continue to put that over there. So that was my point in, as I get this pulled up. I know where I'm going. I got the blinker on and the whole bit. Um, so and someone said, "How long did it last?" It wasn't. If as I recall, it. I only went there like 3 or 4 times. You know, stopped seeing the chick that actually was there. In fact, I don't even remember what happened to her after that. So anyway, but we would have been and probably were the perfect profile because again, we were throwaway kids. If I had died, no one had given a shit about it. No one cared. And and that reality, I lived at a I was the lucky guy. I had favor on me. I was, a ward of the state through Harris County Child Welfare System. And anyway, I was in this halfway house run by United Way, and it was staffed by doctorate candidates working primarily in the field of psychology, child psychology, etc. And man, I mean, the kids just came and gone, went all the time. But for me, I was, my ticket was paid for up until, it wasn't. But yeah, we'd have been the ideal candidate as I look back, all these strange connections. Anyway, how are y'all in the chat room? Good to see everyone. And as I look at everyone out there, barrel and grape barrel acid. I never had grape. I had um, orange barrel, strawberry, but how was that? Uh, you see, I have a sense that probably as I look in the chat room and I get everyone, um, it's quite interesting because I have a sense that I wasn't alone in this. I mean, all of us come from different backgrounds, but very familiar and similar paths. I think we can all agree with that. Paul Joseph, reality to me, Wayne, they're always ones that care for us here or not here. Yeah, I know they are. I met them. I mean, seriously, those who actually have ever, and I'm certainly not condoning and nor am I condemning, you know, it was the time and the era that I lived in. And I look back and, I often wondered because I took oh, well over a couple hundred hits. Um, did it damage me? I don't think so. Of course, I don't know what normal is. The definition I heard is that normal is what everybody else is, and you're not. But I had a lot of friends. John Scott, him and I, we tripped a lot of times. And John could do the Mr. Natural thing. I mean, he had that thing down, leaned his body back, and I still remember a number of our adventures walking the streets of Montrose at 3 o'clock in the morning just tripping our asses off. And it's kind of interesting because you find out you meet some very strange people at that time in the morning. There's just a whole other world. Anyway, I digress. Then let's see. Yeah. Someone says, Joyce, yeah, then there was meningitis. Yeah, I remember that distinctly. But anyway, thanks for the memories. Normal is Abby's last name. Ah, how about that? Agent Hazel, John Lennon apparently did LSD 1,000 times trying to erase his ego. Good luck with that. Ego is it's what the experience is. You know, you get out there into those other realms, um, you find out that as I look back, I never ever questioned did they speak English or not, because I don't believe we were ever moving. I don't know. Anyway, so Project Monarch. We'll get right back onto the road. Let's look. I showed you this document yesterday. I thought it was worthwhile for us to take a peek at this because there's some strange shit going on. There's no doubt about it. And whether we want to do like Miss Dolly Parton, love Dolly Parton. Worked with her. I was with a production company. We actually shot a commercial for Dollywood, and lovely, lovely lady. Anyway, she wrote this great song. It's raining bullshit, and that's a fact. Thing about it is, they're cloud seeding it now. It's like, we could absorb a certain amount of it, right? Certain amount of bullshit. Yeah, we can handle that. But man, they went and screwed up with the climate, and now it's coming down in freaking torrents. So, yeah. I'm just reading some. Hey, Lost in Space, how are you doing? Everyone in the chat room, much love to you. Y'all are the best. All right, so let me pull this up because this gets a little strange. That's all I got to say. So this is the mind control document. And let me just say this. So we know Monarch is real. Who knows what variations are still going on? I contend that's what Musk is into. If you look at his vision of the next generation of the Internet of Things, the neural net. The only way I think that the neural net can work is that there's going to have to be the super mind control. I mean, rigid. I don't see free radicals, because it upsets it. So this document and what we read in here, it's based upon this supposed battle of unseen deities at war with each other. And somehow or another, we got caught in the middle of this thing. And we can't get out of it. Now, do you really believe that there's a Satan and a God? When people say, Wayne, are you saying there's no God? I didn't say that. There's obviously a lot of gods. But is there a single God? I don't think so. I think the very framework of a God is limited. It's finite. You can tell me that it's infinite and all of that, but your description of it, no matter what you say, is finite. So in that case, I don't believe there is a God. I do believe there is something. I think it's beyond our comprehension or ability to apprehend it, because the construct we have right now is fucked up. Any way you look at it. We're in a battle with each other again because of ethnicity, skin color. I mean, we've learned nothing, folks, nothing. Why wouldn't the CIA or the elites, whoever are part of this cabal, why would they not get into a mass hypnosis thing? They use that, by the way, in explaining when groups of people see phenomenon in the air. or even on the ground. Well, it's, probably mass hypnosis. Well, how'd that happen? So I don't believe, but I can read it. I get it because between the two lies, there's eventually, I believe, threads of truth. Because if you have two lies, then once you eliminate that which the lie was predicated upon, Occam Rezier said that you have then the true result. Just putting that out there. Also, let me say this. As I've read through these documents, every one of us have been traumatized. Now, there's something that happens to humans when they're traumatized. Deliberately, and you think about it. Every political party is traumatizing. Every religious ideology is traumatizing. I could just go on down the list. And then it makes you think, and you step back and you're going, why are these forces doing this to us? Why is it that there are supposedly humans? They say they're humans, but they're obviously not. And they're very much a part of this. That makes them either non-human, subhuman, or ultra-human. All right. We're going to get into this next week as well, because this is something I think is worthwhile really getting into, because the occult comes into play. I had this conversation last night where I was telling the individual by email, I said, the fact of the matter is, I come from Christianity. It is a blood cult religion. It's God is all about blood sacrificing. You can argue the merits of your theology all you want, but the reality of that's what it is. Why? You think about, why would a God require? I know what the storyline is. I was a preacher. I know it very well. I preached in the prisons. I know exactly what it is when you preach to, anyway. And when I look back and now, I was just merely an extension of a tentacle of mind control. Yeah. I find often that many people who go awry of society's rules sometimes, and it's sad that it's not harnessed for them, that there really are free thinkers. Yeah, anyway. The skill of lying, the art of deceit. The rule of thumb that the programmers/handlers go by is that they will say anything to get the job done. A CIA handler will tell his agent in the field whatever will work to get the field agent's cooperation on a mission. There is no height, nor breadth, nor length to these people's deception. They have successfully kept some deceptions active for decades, if not for centuries. The use of fiction. The history behind the Wizard of Oz programming is interesting. Now, I want to stop right here because I remember when the Wizard of Oz, I was, I think, 5. I fell in love with Glinda. I really did. I mean, don't ask me why. But now as I'm going through this, I'm going, no, there's something else going on. Let's continue. And this next document I got about the Wizard of Oz, wow. It suggests that the Wizard of Oz has had an important part in the occult world all along. One of the secrets of the mystery religions, especially the Egyptian Isis mystery religion, was the ability to use drugs and torture to create multiple personalities. Now, I'm asking, if you're creating multiple personalities, could it be very well possible that these are move-ins? These are other consciousnesses that look to attach to a host consciousness? Just throwing that out there. The word Oz is known to have been used by its author as an abbreviation for Osiris. Monarch victims have the golden penis of Osiris placed into them. The Grimm brothers, who were Kalablastic Jews, gathered the folk occult stories together. Their stories are full of spells, trances, and drugs. Sleeping Beauty is to put to sleep, and the trigger to wake her is a kiss on her lips. I hear Hall & Oates. Your kiss is on my lips. Anyway, you see what's going on in my head? I mean, I got the jukebox running in the background, you're getting all this information, and then I'm going, okay, is that a trigger? These serious hints that the occult world didn't stop programming people with the disassociated states and triggers when the ancient Egyptian empires fell. Is this what we're experiencing today with the birth of what would be called the New Age religion, which would be the Abrahamic belief system? Because they were different and not associated with those of the past. Interesting. Think about it. I've said that book is a dark spell book. Seems like maybe I got this information that was downloaded already. I don't know. Instead of using modern lingo such as hypnotize, they would say cast a spell. Later in Freemasonry, the right worshipful master would charge, meaning hypnotize the initiate. The occultist Baum, a member of the Theosophical Society, was inspired by some spirit who gave him the magic key to write the Wizard of Oz book, which came out in 1900. The book's story is full of satanic activity and satanic thinking. Again, put that aside. We know what the Satan is, and it's, okay. And besides that, it makes it nice for the story. It's like adding a little, something to your sauce. Just saying. The story was chosen in the late 1940s, to be the basis for the Illuminati intelligence community's trauma-based total mind control programming. That's a mouthful. As a way of enhancing the effect of the programming, Monarch slaves are conditioned to place triggers items into their lives. When the movie was made, Judy Garland, who had lived a life touched by the occult world's abuse, was chosen to act as Dorothy. Judy's later husband, Mickey D. Vinco, was a Satanist and the chief assistant to Ray Radin, a rich Satanist who worked with the Illuminati and who controlled the process, quote unquote, church. Covens, which had as members mass murderers, Blavatsky, and the Monarch slave Charlie Manson. There are several members of the Carr family who are also tied with both Davinco and Radin's process church and the Illuminati. With the numerous long-term connections between the Wizard of Oz books and the movie to the highest levels of the occult world, it is not without reason that one could theorize that the original series of 14 Oz books, did you know there were 14? Had an ulterior motive behind them. The 14 books of the Oz series are, number 1, The Wizard of Oz. Number 2, The Land of Oz. Number 3, Ozma of Oz. 4, Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz. 5, The Road to Oz. 6, The Emerald City of Oz. 7, The Patchwork Girl of Oz. 8, TikTok of Oz. Isn't that odd? And look at the controversy of TikTok today. You could say that TikTok is a spell. Virtually every social media platform is a spell. It's the occult in full-blown steroid in action, and we love it. We're addicted to it. I continue. Number 9, The Scarecrow of Oz. 10, The Renkentink in Oz. 11, The Lost Princess of Oz. 12, The Tin Man Woodsman of Oz. 13, The Magick of Oz. And finally, 14, The Woman Who I Was in Love with at the young, tender age, 5 years old, Glinda of Oz. These books are still being sold and are being read to children who are being programmed with trauma-based total mind control. Now, there is a section we're going to get in because they really get into what the definition here of trauma-based mind control is. We've all experienced the trauma that I went through as an abused child, being beaten. Many of you have experienced the same thing. It's a freaking miracle that we're here, and particularly at the way we have evolved, what we have come into. We are fucking champions. And I think in many ways that, I don't know, they broke a lot. Not many of them did not make it, but we did. And we need to talk more about that. Anyway, the 14 books came out in various editions. The originals came out in 1900 and shortly thereafter. In the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, the words were retyped, set, and given different pages. When working with a survivor, it might help to identify what decade the edition the slave was programmed with, because the pictures and the page numbers varied from edition to edition. Of course, having good picture is an asset in programming because the child will visualize off the pictures when building its internal world. In addition to this, large Wizard of Oz theme parks are being built by the Illuminati to provide places to carry out programming and to reinforce the programming which traps the minds of monarch slaves. The best example of this is the audacious MGM Grand Complex in Las Vegas. Although other theme parks around America also use a Wizard of Oz theme, if you have read Fritz Springmeier's Be Wise as Serpents, you will know how the Theosophical Society ties in with Freemasonry, Satanism, the Lucas Trust, several famous members of the Theosophical Society include, and I'll break there because I want to go over here. I found this really interesting PDF, and it says they know not what they do. Now, this is an interesting book, is what it is. It's and I can pull out here for you. So you can see the Illuminati Mind Control Volume 1 by Cisco Wheeler, Illustrated Guide to the Monarch Programming Mind Control. And, you know, I come out of, we're in the video post-production industry. We sold back in the day high-end computer animation and graphics. We had, you know, the Quantel paint box. We had the first digital editing suite. We could manipulate video. I sold that. And it's when you sell intrinsic things that where you can't say, well, this is what we can actually do. You get into this level of communication with the client, and particularly then the creative artist. And it's powerful. Imagery is powerful. So we're all familiar with the Wizard of Oz. I've stayed at the MGM. Like it. They have a beautiful freaking suite I can tell you about. And, you know, I've always enjoyed staying there. But anyway, you're completely immersed into this thing, though. This whole Oz thing, the whole lion. It's all occultish. There's no doubt about it. Sigils freaking everywhere. All right, so this is an illustrated guide to the Monarch Programming Mind Control. All right, are you ready for this? So it gets so interesting. All right, so we got pictures done by SRA Monarch mind control survivors. So this is apparently taken from people who actually were in it much deeper than apparently I was. I don't know. Maybe I didn't pass the entrance test. But anyway, it gets into the chronology, explanation of the pictures. You get in Alice in Technological Land, Alice in Monarch Land, The Awakening. And as you can see, it's very extensive. Controls, core sleeps. Isn't that interesting? Cradle to the Grave, Delta Beta, Destiny, Destructive Episodes, Dwarfs, Elite of Satan, Evil Spirits, Fear, Gatekeepers, Grooming, Hearts of Stone, Hierarchy, Hope, Horror, Torture, Aberration of Memories, Hypnotic Surgery, Illuminati, Information Retention, Internal Deafness, Light Bearers, Lilith, Moloch, Mothers of Darkness. This is the Goddesses Ceremonies, the House of David, the House of David. What the hell's going on there? Papa Bear, Ghost Rider, Programmers, Programming, Protectors, Sea Monsters, Sea Shats, Sister System, Twining, Twins, and Team Programming. Maybe if we look back on our past a little bit more, we would begin to realize that there were certain people that came into our lives and then came out, and you're wondering exactly why. They know not what they do. This is the chronology, and it looks like March of 1947, the system was physically born, was a premature baby of 2 pounds, 1 ounce. The baby was raised in an incubator until approximately 5 pounds. Special attention was given to bond the child very closely to its future master programmer. 1948, the system began to be programmed. Programming sites included at the Presidio in California, China Lake Naval Facility, California, Scotty's Castle, California, and Salem, Oregon. 1986, the system's handler's master dies, and the system is passed on to another master. System tries to shut down and die after their master's death, but survives via therapy. This is the start of the therapy. Looks like May 1991, after being dormant for a period, system is given a call back. Walpurgis night in 1991, which it refuses. System continues to be contacted. August 1993, the system gets a major reprogramming slash restructuring at the old, and I think that's the QMSI building, Portland, Oregon, and the system is never the same. Yeah. Makes everyone thinking, so who and what is system? Seems to be human. Why was it premature? Why didn't it have the parents? January 1st, 1994, deprogramming begins. The deprogramming continues on and off until 1294. Explanation of the pictures. These pictures begin as a way of expressing what we had inside. Our system found it difficult to verbalize what we see internally, what we felt, what had happened to us. And we find the pictures were an excellent therapeutic method to express ourselves. When we began, we had never done art drawings. We began with black and white and used a combination of pen and ink along with a collage material. We were told that if we borrowed bits and pieces from various places and combined them to express own picture, that was ethically okay. We aren't implying that the artwork is not collages. The first one we did included pen and ink drawings along with collage material. after we did our series of gatekeeper altar drawings so that we could communicate to our therapist how that part of our system is functioning, we began to express ourselves with color collages. Many of the collages were joint projects of many altars. Isn't that interesting? Anyone who wanted to was welcome to join and add their additions to the collages. This meant that many of us didn't fully understand what the deeper altars meant by their artwork. Along with each collage was a great deal of pain and effort as we fought the pain and the scrambling of the programming to express ourselves. Because the programming was layered in, you will see a great deal of layering in the pictures. You will also see that there usually is an eye watching and a hand grasping at us. We were always being watched, and we were never out of the clutches of the internal programmers. So it's in our money. It's everywhere we go. It's in every thought form, political, religious, philosophical, even medicine. So is it possible that we are potentially awakening? This is what this whole process many of us have been going through. Other than that, the other possibility is this is all fiction, fancy. But we know it's not. We know it was directly connected. They have the records. I mean, yeah. Why this isn't done on television in a way that where everyone, maybe they don't want us to. Maybe it's a conflict of the flicker rate. Don't know. Remarks about the pages explaining each picture. The remarks that accompany each picture are our own views. We can't make decisions for other people concerning their lives. We hope that we are accurate with our understanding of what has happened and that we have accurately portrayed things in our explanations. However, we strongly advise people to seek answers for themselves, validate or refute what we have said, but please don't dismiss it out of hand without sincerely testing to see if it's true. We offer our remarks in the spirit of helping others to freedom and health. Alice in Technological Land. Wow. Let's just grasp this. I think you would have to spend in a classroom setting magnifying the details of all of this in such a manner that, doesn't this remind you of something? What was that? The animation. I'll think of it a second. The goat, pet goat. But look at this. Also gives me the feeling of the Borg. Time. She's holding time. Look who's else up there. Time represented here again. Looking at the dominoes. Actually, those are buildings. Time, pressure. A lot going on here. Huh. Isn't that interesting? The spear. And look at the, I don't know. What would you say that is? It's not an eagle. Large bird. How interesting. Notice the serpent. Wow. So, folks, if we're to believe what we're being told here, then what we're seeing is the expression of a consciousness that is much like ours, but not like ours. I mean, I think I'm going to see if I can get some prints of this. Bet you I can. Alice in Technological Land, the picture gives an overview of the complexity of the programming put into our system. It was also put into other systems which we have worked closely with and with whom we were twined to make two persons and four-person teams. Many of the elements of our programming are displayed. If we list some of these, we can mention the wizard, the owl, the tin man, wiring, ticker tape with coded Morse code running, dominoes, the rabbit, clocks, Russian roulette, fruit, wheels, the all-seeing eye, the snake, the world, the compass, the genie bottle, boxes, Hubbles, robots, computers, and Alice. Some people have asked why anyone would go to all the trouble to program a person with the trauma-based Monarch control system. The fundamental answer is that the mind control reflects the person and the character of Satan. Well, isn't that special? Although many believe Satan is a myth, Satan's top 13 bloodlines have been meeting with him for centuries in a year-long feast of the beast. This event is to provide Satan's top leaders detailed instructions. Is Biden an agent of Satan? How about Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, agent of Satan? Is Donald J. Trump an agent of Satan? Is Bill Gates an agent of Satan? Is Mark Zuckerberg an agent of Satan? The answer would be apparently yes to all. Okay, bloodlines. Bloodlines. God says love doesn't seek its own. Well, I'm still trying to figure out what this God of love is. I digress. The fruit of God's Spirit is this type of selfless love. Satan and Satanism encourage the opposite. They encourage control and power. Selfishness is deified. To the writer of this book, show me where Satan ever killed a human being. Some will tell me who wrote and said, well, what about Job? Satan didn't kill any of Job's relatives. No. But I know the angel Gabriel is a mass murderer. I know it says in the book of Exodus that this God slayed 3,000. I'm just trying to put this in perspective. Listen, I'm not saying that there isn't some entity, some deity, there's something. I just don't buy the whole Satan thing, because if Satan was in fact the arch nemesis of God, they're one and the same. The two can't exist without each other. And so if we can rise above this thought, maybe we can find some fractal of truth. Where does the time go? All right, let's continue. Satan is the father of all lies. Well, again, so if you got the Satan and God thing, but wait a minute, they're relatively new on the scene. Couldn't we put Enki and Enlil in here? They're both gods. Just saying. It hates the truth. Okay. SRA survivors often speak of a worldwide conspiracy. Satan's nature and the nature and character of his followers demand that the conspiracy be that controlling. The nature of Satanists is to have a destructive lust for control and power. Satanism cherishes illusion and lies. By that definition, then I can say as an American, the United States Congress are all Satanists. I don't care what they're, those who are, preaching the Bible and what have you, you all lie. And if you lie, you're anti-God, which means you are loyal to the father of all lies, according to this document. Now, people in America don't want to believe that they're being ruled by Satanists. Isn't it odd? They say that there is in the United States the freedom of religion, but yet only one religion is allowed in schools. That's a direct violation. What do you folks have afraid of? Or why are you afraid of Satan? If your God is so goddamn powerful, then you shouldn't give a goddamn about Satan. Just saying. But you see, this shit's programmed into us, man. It's out there everywhere. Another attribute of Satan's character and his followers is their love for secrecy and darkness. Think about how many bills Congress passes that they never read them, and they don't even know who's writing them. And the thing that gets weird about this, folks, these bills, thousands of pages can be written in one night. How the fuck does that happen? Just saying, for a friend. Therefore, it follows that the type of control that Satan exercises over the world is both secret and brutal. How many people died at the sword of Christianity? I bet they thought that that was very freaking brutal. That it's better to put the devil with the horns. Yeah. But wait a minute. Moses had horns. Oh, that's right, because horns represent wisdom. Now, don't go in that shit, Wayne. Now you sound like you're supporting Satan. Go, Satan, go, Satan. My gal is Lucifer. That's all I got to say. Because she's like saying, I don't want any of this shit. I mean, hey, the dudes they screwed it up enough. Let them have it. Every type of mind control is being carried out, and as far as we can tell, every type or element of mind control is carried out on the victims of the Monarch mind control. Remember, the victims of satanic mind control are created to function in the environment of Satan's followers. This means they must have altars which are brutal, secret, immoral, and controlled. They must be able to function in a world of illusion and magic. Now, I just want to bring out some simple facts. Since we got the Satan God thing, but God now, let's talk about God. He's got this thing called the Holy of Holies. No human can go in there. You have to even get near there. You have to have this ephod on, and then you have to have literally silk underwear. It's like a robe. You have to be completely covered in this, and in fact, they made them out of gold. And then you had to have a chain put to your ankle because there was a bell attached to your front toe, the high priest. Now, before he went in there, he had to make sacrifices to God, blood sacrifices, bulls, goats. I mean, they had their list. So, what? I mean, I would say it's secret. To me, it's immoral, damn brutal. And I can see I'm almost out of time. Dang. And it's controlled. So they must be able to function in the world of illusion and magic. Listen, those high priests, Moses, the Magi, brought the Egyptian magic. People have this weird thing about the quote unquote children of Israel in the Exodus stories. If you go by the story, they were there 490 years. They were not Jewish. They were not Abrahamic. They were Egyptian. Now, they may have had a subculture within that culture, but the Egyptian culture was the primary cover. And within when we've studied it here, you folks know it as well, how the gods, the pantheon of the gods, and how things work. A lot of magic. We got the story of when Moses went with Aaron to, the high priest. Great magic on display. And I can see him on this. Anyway, we'll pick up here in the next time we get in here, because this is really, again, if you look at some of this imagery. Now, remember, you could almost say this was before the artificial intelligence. This is what it reminds me a lot of as I scan through some of these pictures. So many gave me the impression of AI. Because if you go and look at the artwork of AI, it has a lot of similarities. And each one is explained. We'll get into this one right here as well. Kennedy, Monroe, secrets locked, the all-seeing eye, the rabbit, the coat of arms. I mean, whew. All right. Well, I hope you found that a rabbit hole experience. Joyce says, Peter Max. Yeah, they're kind of interesting on that too, Joyce. I would say that as well. But Satan likes me, Rickard says. Well, anyway, this is some strange stuff, man. I know, like I said, we're just reading the information. And it's bizarre. Because when you hear this stuff, when you hear this information, and then you start applying it to the layers within, because we all have layers within, you start going, oh, wait, is there a trigger involved here? Is that how we know? I don't know. Lady Ellie, fun show. Thank you. Thank you very much. I try to make it entertaining. I mean, it's mind coitus, folks. That's stimulating. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Floyd, I'm sitting under a Peter Max original right now. You see, isn't this wild? Hey, Gilbert, how are you, brother? Good to see you. Lost in Space, what's up? Blazing River and Shirley, good to see you. Source Frequency. It is a trip, isn't it? Like, holy crap, man. Thank you, Monkey Experiment. Right back at you. All right, folks, we'll pick up here next time. Wild stuff. That's all I got to say. Goes deeper than the Kardashian. I love that. Hey, Robert V. How are you, brother? Good to see you. Well, I'm glad you're getting some day off. You got to rest the body, that's important. That's all I got to say, brother. Loving your show over there. Millie, thank you as well. And Jeanette, best to you. Paul, Joe, and S. Lee. Carol, thank you. I might think again about going down the... Truly, that is a wise one. And it's like, but I'm wondering if we're really going down or if we're having the reverse anti-gravity effect. We're being pulled up out of it and we're looking going, holy crap, is that where we came from? I don't know. All right. My mind needs a spirit. Well, I hope it's a good sativa. That's all I got to say. Maybe an indica. It just depends, I guess. All right, Nunu, everyone, thank you until we meet again.